cookie for me?
Yes, Gary. Take one. You displayed a quality I hadn't seen in you previously. Courage. Exemplary. You earned it.
And because I am the captain.
Cookie withdrawn.
A chocolate chip cookie. Chocolate chip cookie important to me.
Previously on Final Space, the godsend that is Olin Rogers had an idea. The story of a space prisoner teaming up with a mini Death Star in order to save the world. Actually, I'm gonna say universe. Universe sounds a lot cooler. The pilot looks amazing. The action, the drama, it was off the frickin' chain, man. Now, as we gear up for the third season, we're jumping back in time to part 1, where it all started. This is why Final Space is the most perfect story ever. To preface this, I want to talk about adult animation. When I say those words, what do you think of? Rick and Morty? Family Guy? Pretty big difference between the two, am I right? This kind of media exists in many forms, from traditionally animated sitcoms to philosophical billion IQ comedy, and even stop-motion poultry, who would have guessed? Final Space is a nice middle ground in this genre. Pleasing animation, beautiful space backgrounds, and with more lighthearted comedy. But a movie or TV series or whatever can look great, but have its story fail on so many levels. And here's where Final Space comes in. It's got decent animation. I mean, it's not Soul or The Good Dinosaur, it's just nice. But its story? Oh yeah, baby, it's awesome. It's always been my belief that a good story makes up for lacking animation, and not the other way around. It's why Final Space works, and The Good Dinosaur absolutely does not. But what makes its execution so good anyway? Okay, I'm going to assume that since you've clicked on this video, you've at least watched Season 1, so we can get right into it. First off, the character introductions. They're done as smooth as butter. I've literally never seen butter this smooth. First, Mooncake.
I love you.
In episode 1, he just kind of flies into the scene and immediately attaches to Gary's face. Alright, that was easy and quick. But what's impressively done is what we see right after this scene ends. We're introduced to the Lord Commander, the dickwad going after Mooncake. So we immediately have a connection between the main antagonist and the main protagonist. The Lord Commander wants Mooncake for his own selfish goals, and Gary wants Mooncake because, well, he hasn't really had any other life forms to communicate with for like 5 years. Also, he gives great hugs. So, boom. Lesson 1. Establish contrasting character connections early on in order to kickstart the plot. It's a great way to segue into the real meat of the story. Next up, Avocado. Avocado, a bounty hunter sent by the Lord Commander to capture Mooncake. Now, making a character turn of this magnitude isn't easy, but Final Space handles this like a dream. Because what's the hardest thing about pulling off this trope? It's the actual reason they switch teams. And Avocado has multiple reasons. He wants revenge on Turk.
Of course, Turk. Who the hell's Turk?
Turk left him to die on the Galaxy 1. But that's not enough of a reason, and this is proven by Avocado betraying Gary for a moment. But when he realizes that Gary is the only real friend he's had in a long time, it's then that he switches. We also learn later that Avocado was already falling out of the Lord Commander's favor and was at the end of the line anyway. He had a much better thing going with the Galaxy 1 at this point, so it just made sense. Lesson 2. If a character turns good, give them more than one reason to do so. Lastly, we're going to talk about Hugh. He's an AI who has a surprising amount of personality and free will, but he's so much better because of it. This character is introduced as the warden that's keeping Gary in line, but they also communicate like friends.
Get off my cheeks, Hugh!
Get off my cheeks, Gary.
Throughout the season, he slowly starts to treat Gary like his real friend and less like a prisoner. Even when the Infinity Guard turns on our captain, Hugh doesn't leave him. It's never mentioned in the show, but Hugh actually chooses Gary over the Infinity Guard. And as an AI programmed by the people who went rogue, it just goes to show you how much this eccentric, crazy little man has grown on him. Lesson 3. Subtle character changes can be more impactful than direct ones. I'm looking at you, Rise of Skywalker. I know I didn't get to Quinn, Little Cato, Kevin, or Tribor. I just wanted to mention the character changes that really stuck with me. And now on to something else this show does right. Foreshadowing. Everyone knows how each episode starts. Gary free-floating through space, gradually accepting death. Not only does this give us a nice little update every time a new episode drops, but it also gets us more and more excited about the season finale. Sometimes these openings are jokes, and other times, well...
You'll stay with me till the end.
Till the very end.
Thank you, Hugh.
It's been an honor to be your friend.
This is an excellent piece of foreshadowing because the process is gradual. I can make a whole video on it, but for now, just know that this little mini-story creates a nice little appetizer before the episode starts. Other shows start doing this kind of creative stuff, but it's not just these little death clips that's amazing. Enter the character of Nightfall. She's Quinn from the future, and she shows up in the earlier episodes of the season, but never interacts with the crew of the Galaxy 1. Her actions are sporadic, and don't make much sense at first, but on learning she's a time traveler trying to save Gary's life, it all makes sense. She put the solution to episode 4 into Kevin so they could escape, she killed this guy, etc. That means that in alternate timelines, all this stuff brought the story to a premature end, so thank God for Nightfall. If you want to know how Final Space excels at drama, just watch this scene. It's brilliant, but also devastating. Episode 4, Gary goes to harvest power from a star, but he sees a vision of him and his father. We don't know this yet, but his father is dead. Gary's goofy nature comes to an immediate halt as he's forced to watch his dad die again. And this wouldn't even be the last time. It's such a heartbreaking scene, and it's masterfully crafted for several reasons. First, look at Gary's face as he starts to realize what he's seeing. His pupils have gone white. It's a subtle detail, but think about it. Every time we've seen Gary's reaction inside his helmet up until now, he's been acting corny, making jokes, just being Gary. But this is actual fear in his eyes. It's a powerful moment because it's a deviation from the norm. And that's what fear is, right? Something being different from the normal condition. Like, you ever meet someone who never swears, and then something happens and then they just start cursing like a sailor? It has more impact because it isn't supposed to happen. Lesson 5. A dramatic scene often calls for a deviation in a character trait specifically. Gary's mood changes at the drop of a hat, and our heart wallets spit out all of our hurt coins. And now, it's time to bust out an old friend, Chekhov's gun. You guys know I love this thing, right? Chekhov's planet killer? We'll workshop it. Anyway, episode 6. Quinn finds out the Infinity Guard was corrupted by the Lord Commander. They work for him now. This puts Quinn in an emotional whirlwind because it's actually her fault. Her scribbling on a bar napkin in episode 1 was actually an equation that allowed the Infinity Guard to break through the quantum barrier. I mean, this level of continuity is blowing my freaking mind. It's a small detail that everyone kind of forgot about. But it's not unreasonable that the IG got their hands on it. Since Quinn is Infinity Guard, she was probably working on it at their request, so it inevitably were able to study it and use it. The other reason this Chekhov's gun works is because it wasn't alluded to at all. It's left to sit there, in our long-term memory, and then snapped back in front of our vision spheres. It's a more satisfying moment because almost no one could have seen this coming. Keep in mind, a Chekhov's gun doesn't have to do this in order to work, but the payoff can be greater. The Despicable Me gun doesn't do this, but it still works because it's a slow reveal. Lesson 7. If you decide not to allude to your Chekhov's gun in any way, you must make the reason for it firing off believable. Everyone can accept that the Infinity Guard acquired this bar napkin from Quinn, so there's no reason to go back to it before the reveal. And another thing, the character contrasts? Best in the galaxy. Wait, universe is cooler. Lesson 8, universe is cooler. Anyway, none of the Final Space crewmates are identical. They're not even close. Avocado, the tough as nails Ventrexian, without any milk. Gary, the eccentric but good-hearted hero who can befriend almost anyone.
Hey, Gary, sorry, got a minute? Yeah, I've been thinking about this.
Mooncake, lovable marshmallow. Quinn, headstrong and a real leader. Nightfall, older, equally hot Quinn. Should I go on? Everyone here is different. No one's a wet blanket though. Those characters just don't work in my opinion. Sinbad couldn't bring characters together, but Final Space is here to surpass you in every way. So, Sinbad, go to your room.
And then die.
I mean, Quinn got tied up right after she joined the team. In the words of Gary Goodspeed, friendships are messy, raw, and don't always work. Like the Avengers, they're not all friends at first, but circumstances drive them together. Lesson 9. Circumstances drive characters together and make them stay together. It's the hot glue that holds your 6th grade art project together. My papier-mâché mailbox on wheels wouldn't be the same without it. Lastly, the season finale. The final episode is just our crew gunning for the breach. They've got to save the world, I mean universe. Phew, why is the season finale superior to every Steven Universe finale? Yes, I said it. Well, in my opinion, it's because all the loose ends are tied up here. At least all the relevant loose ends. Little Cato is back, Avocado's death has been grieved but accepted, Nightfall is gone, for now, Now it's just the Galaxy 1 versus the fleet of incinerators. This one event takes up pretty much all of the finale, so it has room to savor every moment. And did I mention, this finale actually has kind of a bad ending. Yeah, Earth is lost to the breach. Sure, it's set up for seasons 2 and 3, but it still works. We want to see what happens next. But the final lesson of this video? Give the finale its own time to happen. It sounds like a weird lesson, but hear me out here. Adventure Time's finale? Great. Well, the second half really picks it up. The first part of the episode, in my opinion, should have been made into its own episode. It wraps up the Gum War, but the focus here should be Golb, the final boss. I think if this portion of the finale were longer, we could have fit in the characters mentioned in Gumbaldia. Because seriously, those guys had no payoff. So, lesson 10. Give your finale time to explore the emotion in every moment of the episode, or it could feel rushed. And Final Space, of course, does this right. Whew, I love this series, man. It's so good. You know, even though Season 2 wasn't nearly as tight as Season 1, in my opinion, I'm super excited for its return. It's gonna be one hell of a good time. Alright, that's all that I have for you this week. I'll see you next Friday.